Well, a Houston father is facing 180 days in jail for overpaying his child support and over-visiting his 11-year-old son. His attorney and a community activist are now demanding answers. Randy Wallace joins us live with a story you'll see only on Fox. Randy?
Don, we all expect to see judges throw the book at fathers who fail to pay child support. But a father who says he's been doing the right thing now has an arrest warrant against him.
It's my responsibility to take care of it. You know, I brought him in this world, I have to.
Clifford Hall says he's more than happy to pay child support for his 11-year-old son.
I'm his father. You know, it's my responsibility to take care of it.
But Hall says when the amount of child support was modified, no one told him.
I discovered that for some reason his employer was withholding a large amount some weeks, a small amount some weeks, zero amount some weeks.
And I didn't want to go to jail, basically.
So Hall quickly paid almost $3 grand in back child support. When Hall and his ex-wife were in Judge Lisa Millard's court last November, he owed nothing.
Opposing counsel testified twice that he's all paid up.
But the attorney representing the child's mother wanted Hall to pay her $3 grand in attorney fees, and Judge Millard agreed. Court documents also reveal Hall wasn't following the court's scheduled times to pick up his son, another modification he says he knew nothing about.
The judge ended up sentencing him to 6 months in jail.
When she said, remand you to the Harris County Jail for 180 days, my mouth just dropped.
This entire situation is shocking to me. I've never seen one like this.
Community activist Quanell X wants the state's judicial board to investigate.
The court failed the child. The court failed Mr. Hall. The system broke down.
I can't be there for my son in jail. I can't pay child support in jail. You know, this is not in the best interest of the child.
Judge Lisa Millard says Hall walked out of court after he was found in contempt, which she says is a big no-no. Judge Millard also points out Hall's attorney could have filed a motion for reconsideration. She says that would have allowed her to hear both sides again and reevaluate the situation. Hall's attorney is now working on an appeal, and in a few days, Hall plans to turn himself in, and Don will, of course, keep everybody posted on how this plays out.
It really is a strange situation.
After Googling this, I found out the father was released from jail after serving 13 days, thanks to a strong legal team, which I'm sure cost him some money. And obviously, most jobs won't allow you to randomly take 2 weeks off, so he lost his job, even though his employer admitted that it was their clerical error on their part. And now he's $10,000 in debt because of it, including having to pay his ex-wife's attorney fees who brought him to court in the first place. And after he got out, he owed another $1,000 in child support. Where is the justice for these fathers? Because his employer made a mistake and he's paying for it. That's ridiculous. I also found out that he didn't overpay from a fact checker. I'm not sure how credible they are, but their story made more sense. This article reads, a court agreement specifying child support and visitation terms were modified without his knowledge, resulting in him underpaying child support and taking custody of his son outside of the court's approved visitation schedule. When Hall found out about the modification terms, in order to avoid jail time, he quickly paid nearly $3,000 in back child support, despite he claims having been told during a court appearance several weeks earlier that he was all paid up and agreed to pay the child's mother's $3,000 in attorney fees. But nonetheless, Judge Lisa Millard found Hall guilty of contempt of court.
Dumb asshole.
You also have a woman who's probably upset that the relationship didn't work or that he moved on. I'm speculating, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he didn't need the court to tell him to take care of his kids. So she was probably being spiteful, putting him on child support. And the reason the child support system is the way it is in the first place is because the government makes money off of it. It's the reason why the government will never make DNA tests mandatory at birth. Because let's be honest, most men won't take care of a kid that isn't his. And if men don't take care of kids, the government will have to help that mom take care of her kid since she doesn't know who the father is. Here's a short, boring clip of how the state makes money off of child support.
Child support creates a financial incentive for parents to fight for more parenting time. In many jurisdictions, More custody time means more child support, with even one extra night making a huge difference. States also earn more federal dollars to enforce child support. And if shared parenting means no child support, then there is a disincentive to grant joint custody or to make it the default option. A parent can lose their driver's license, passport, and even be incarcerated for not paying child support. But because it's civil court, you have no right to a public defender. And the worst part? In many cases, the support doesn't go to the kids. The state keeps flat fees, percentages, interest payments, and will hold on to all of it if the custodial parent receives welfare. The billions of dollars spent on child support enforcement could be spent on programs that help families, like mediation, mental health services, and enforcing custody orders.
I'm just educating y'all. Here's the second clip about Title 4D and why child support was put in place in the first place.
It was put into place to primarily help children who had lost a parent. In the late 60s, after no-fault divorce became of the law of the land, the ensuing divorces resulted in, mostly women who were now on welfare and other forms of government support. The massive increase in welfare recipients threatened to bankrupt the states. In response, the government in 1975 created the Child Support Enforcement and Paternity Establishment Program, the CSE. They also inserted Part D into Title IV, which gives states matching funds for enforcement purposes, locating parents, establishing paternity, establishing child support awards, and collecting child support payments. Title 4D is broken up into three main parts: the administrative costs, which are the amounts they take out for all of OAG's efforts, grants for child support collection, and a federal incentive payment. There is also interest and other pieces, but these are the three main sections. When someone makes their child support payment through the Title 4D agency, it is usually by wage garnishment. The enforcement and collecting part of the requirement. The state sends notice to the federal government that it has enforced and collected. The federal government then sends money back to the state. This is everyone's tax dollars that are being sent to the Office of the Attorney General. After a while, the states started to realize that there were a lot of incentives to this program and came to rely on receiving those federal funds and reimbursements. Those funds were used to pay the OAG workers, reimburse other costs, and, if they collect a lot, a bonus. In order to maximize their reimbursement, they needed to collect as much money as possible. The way to do that was to ensure that one parent had as little time with the child as possible, so that they could pay more child support. Lawyers saw this as a way to increase their already $60 billion a year industry, and judges wanted to make sure that their retirement programs were well funded since they are paid through the state. Here's 2016's Title 4D data straight for the HHS.gov website. For Texas, $367 million in administrative costs. This pays for the 2,200 OAG employees. $324 million in grants for child support collections. And since Texas was so good at collecting, a $72 million bonus check. That's $763 million of your tax dollars. This is why lawyers, judges, legislators, and anyone involved in the industry will fight tooth and nail to keep equal shared parenting from passing.
Yup, it's all a money play, so I hope you learned something today. Hopefully, this was just entertainment, but if you're a good father, not a deadbeat, and you're struggling to pay child support, this video will teach you how to pay less in child support. I'm out.